everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my 2 informative videos are done for the day, including a full deadlift workout and accessories, so check that out if you guys are interested in that. It's time for me to talk about current events in the online fitness community. So let me put on my +5 hat of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about ScottHermanFitness today. Now, you guys know I call out a lot of people for really stupid crap, because there are a lot of morons, and some of them are gone now, but there are a lot of morons on YouTube Fitness who literally have zero knowledge of biomechanics or anything else. People always seem to want to get me to hate on Scott Herman. But the reality is, I don't really hate on Scott Herman. He's not one of these dumbasses. I mean, the list is pretty long. I mean, let's see. The late Rich Piana. Rich Piana was a dumbass, guys. I'm sorry, but he was. He was stupid. And his training methodologies were stupid. They weren't based on science or reality or anything else. Cali Muscle is borderline mentally retarded. Jerry Ward, complete moron. Burned his brains out with drugs. He can't even follow a logical train of thought. Okay? Who else? Brandon Carter. That guy's a complete dumbass. Complete dumbass. Complete dumbass. Doesn't know anything about training. And the weakest guy I've ever seen at his size. So, I mean, there's a lot of stupid people out there on YouTube Fitness. Some of them have had 1 million+ subscribers. Scott Herman's not one of them. Everyone always is like, oh man, Scott said this, Scott said that. What do you think? That sounds dumb. And I go check it out. I'm like, actually, I kind of agree with it. I tend to get a lot of that. I'm not saying I agree with everything he says, but I went to watch his video where he said that people were saying, he says the bench press isn't that good and that the dumbbells are better. Well, actually, he said the bench press is a good exercise. So you guys need to understand that. He also, and incidentally, he said in the video, and this is where I'm going to give him props, he also said the leg extension is a garbage exercise. I'm glad he said that, but I wish he would have taken it a step further. The leg extension is such a worthless, knee-damaging, garbage piece of crap that every single leg extension machine should be melted down for scrap metal. I wish he had said that instead, because it really is a truly horrific exercise. And that's how I describe it. It's not just a bad exercise, it's a horrific exercise. And I don't advocate anyone ever do it, ever, for any reason. But I'm glad that he said you don't need that. Now, back to his point about the bench press. He's not entirely wrong. He's not entirely wrong. If your goal is maximum pectoral development, not overall upper body development and strength and athleticism, dumbbells are probably slightly superior. Let me rephrase that. Dumbbells have the potential, if utilized correctly, to give slightly superior pectoral development to a barbell. Does that mean they automatically will? No, but they have the potential. The reason, it's not the reason he stated in the video. He said, well, it has to do with stabilizers. No, it's not it at all. No, stabilizers don't cause direct hypertrophy of a target muscle. All right, working more stabilizers doesn't make a big muscle like the pec or the lat or anything else grow faster. What the dumbbells do, they do have the potential for a deeper range of motion, a deeper stretch. And I think he did mention the stretch. That's the key point. That's the key point. Does an exercise that has the potential for a deeper stretch also in some cases have the potential for greater hypertrophy? Yes. Yes, it does. Now, the point I'm going to make, I think for most people, I think depending upon your structure, the barbell bench press, because it's an overall better size builder, it's an overall better strength builder, I think is more than adequate for most people's chest development. That with some solid overhead press done correctly, for a lot of you, that's all you ever need. The reason I say that, because if you do enough volume with the bench press, and all your other chest pressing like that, but the bench press in particular, you're probably going to develop the amount of balance you want. Now, if you want to be really pec heavy, or you're someone who really grows their delts and their triceps better, okay, the bench press might not be your best choice. Maybe what I mean is someone who has good arm genetics, someone who has a shallow rib cage, you might have to do something to rebalance yourself because you're genetically unbalanced, you're structurally unbalanced, in which case using the dumbbell, if your goal is a balanced physique, if that's what you're shooting for, because that's not why everyone trains. A lot of my audience train for sports, athleticism, fitness. You know what? I'd go out on a limb and say he's right. For those people with a really shallow rib cage, again, good arm genetics, maybe got those nice low tricep insertions, the dumbbells make more sense. Why? Because their arms are going to grow easy. The big heavy weight on the bench press is going to make their arms grow easy, and they might end up with slightly imbalanced upper body development. People like me who have a big rib cage naturally, our chest is going to overpower, even from the bench press, is going to overpower our arm development. Just the way it is. So a lot of this comes down to individual structure. But I will say, both of these exercises for getting chest development has to do with how you do the exercise. A lot of guys who say, oh, the bench press sucks for building my chest, is because you don't pause at the bottom. Because you do not pause at the bottom. You don't pull your scapula back and touch your chest and pause. Guys who bounce, guys who short rep it, yeah, of course you're like, well, my chest isn't getting developed. Well, no shit. No shit. Would you expect it to when you're doing the exercise like a silly-ass moron? Would you expect an exercise when you were doing it like a silly-ass moron and not working the part of the range of motion that works a given muscle the most? Would you expect that muscle to get really, really big doing it? I would hope not. You're pausing on your chest, you got your scapula pulled back, it will build a pretty big chest. Particularly, again, this is where bodybuilding bro lore, because he said, you know, it's a bro exercise. You know what's a bro exercise? You know what's bro thought? Wide grip builds your chest and closed grip builds your arms. That's bro. Because you know what? The closer grip bench press has a longer range of motion. What's the reason we use dumbbells? The longer range of motion. Closed grip has a longer range of motion. When you use dumbbells correctly, don't you work them like a closed grip bench press? In other words, we're going to go to that in a minute. When you use dumbbells correctly to grow your chest, don't you turn them in a bit? Don't you come down low on the chest? Isn't it similar to a closed grip bench press? Maybe a hair wider? Yeah, it is. That's the grip where you get the deepest range of motion. Sorry, Nova's in here with me. He's up putting his paw on me. Hey, buddy. Want to say hi to the camera? Yeah? There he is. He'll come up here and say hi. Hello. Say hi to everybody. Hey, buddy. All right. Nova, I got to finish this video, bud. You got to jump down off me. Maybe not. He's just going to chill here. All right, guys. But back to the point. When we talk about the the dumbbells don't automatically have the potential. How many guys do this? They have them way out here. They're limiting the range of motion. They can't stretch correctly. What happens? They're not working their chest any better than a barbell. In fact, for those people, the barbell would actually give them better chest development because they're going to use more weight and get a deeper stretch. And it's going to hurt their shoulders less. All right, this pinkies out crap on dumbbells will hurt your shoulders. Your hands need to be turned in. You need to come down low. Now, if you do a dumbbell bench press like this and you tuck at the bottom, you can get a really deep range of motion. You can get a really, really deep stretch on your pectoral with a moderately heavy weight. And you can do so safely. That's the way to do the exercise. It doesn't put a strain on your shoulders and actually gives you the deep, deep stretch on your pecs, which is the reason people do it. That's the benefit. So if you do them that way, yeah, it does have more potential for chest growth. But ultimately, what a lot of people need to realize, the only reason a lot of people end up with something like an imbalance if they're using the bench press as their primary chest exercise is because they do so much extra isolation work for all the other muscles involved in the bench press that a lot of those end up getting overdeveloped and maybe their chest lags. But if they came in and really, really hammered on the bench press, paused on it a lot on the chest and did a lot of volume with it, you'd be surprised how developed it ends up giving most of your upper body. You'd be surprised how big your pecs would get. But, you know, the guys who are coming in and doing 3 or 4 different tricep exercises, 3 or 4 different delt exercises on top of their bench press, and then they're using the bench press, yeah, those can get a little more undeveloped, but you're also doing more work for them. If you put a heavy focus on the bench press and you perform the exercise correctly, again, it can actually give you a lot of chest development. What I recommend usually as far as dumbbells go is not for everyone because you're going to get more overall development out of the bench press. It's a more useful tool overall. It's for people whose chest becomes a weak point. You're benching correctly, doing a lot of volume, and it's still a weak point for you. All right, dumbbells make sense. They make a lot of sense at that point. Or the same thing, you know, I get a bencher who has chest mobility issues. Let's say for a power lifter. He needs more pop out of the bottom on his bench press. He does a lot of pause benching, but he feels like he just lacks strength mobility on the bench press. Sometimes the dumbbell chest presses become a very viable accessory at that point, because you're going to shore up the weak link. You need more strength and mobility at the bottom of your presses for your chest to get more power out of the bottom on a raw bench press. Even in that case, a power lifter might even use them as an accessory. But again, it's going to depend upon where your weaknesses lay. They're not necessary for everyone for maximum or balanced chest development. They just aren't. So ultimately it comes down to how you want to program everything and what you want to utilize. But for most people, I would still start them on the barbell because it's an overall better general size and strength builder. And then if you start to develop a weak point, that's when I would say, okay, let's go look at the dumbbells a little bit closer, because you need to rebalance this back out. So what it comes down to is not so much what's the best exercise for any given muscle group at any given time, is what's going to help you personally reach your personal goals best at any given time. And what you need to remember, there ultimately is no best exercise. There's only probably a best exercise for any given set of goals you have in the circumstances that you are in at the moment. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.